Are you intrigued by the deeper spiritual side of art? If you have an intuitive sense that art can teach you universal wisdom about yourself and life, then you're in the right place. I'm Michelle Baker. I have my master's in art therapy, and I created the Art as a Soul Language method to help creative women uncover hidden blocks and discover their soul purpose later in life. I like to say that art is my spiritual guru because I have noticed that I can really understand a lot about myself and about life and universal principles from making art and the things that it teaches me. So here are my top 4 secrets that art can teach you about life. Number 1, art teaches us how to take the first step and begin, to move past the idea phase and into the creating phase. This is really big because everybody has ideas. It's easy to have a bazillion ideas in any day, but it's so much more rare for people to take an idea and actually implement it and put it into action. So much happens in that transition because when you start to move from an idea phase into a doing phase and a creating phase, there's so much that can come up. That's where the inner critic arises. We get worried. What if I fail? I don't know how to do it. What if it doesn't turn out? What if other people don't like it? What if they judge me? So much happens from idea to action that many people stop right here and they don't make it to the creation and actually bringing something into tangible form. All of these same things happen with art, but art gives you a place to practice beginning, to conquer those fears and those worries about what it might be like, and to see what happens when you at least begin and take those first initial steps. And really, art is giving you the opportunity to practice this over and over and over again. I've made art for my entire life, and I can't tell you that I don't have fear or anxiety come up when I want to create something new. But because I have made thousands of pieces of art, I am very comfortable in the transition from the idea phase into the doing phase. And in fact, I also don't have the expectation that everything I move into the creation phase be a masterpiece. Because I have moved so many things through that transition, I'm comfortable not only beginning, but not expecting everything to be perfect or a masterpiece. It might seem really simple to be good at beginning, but it's actually everything, because until you transition from the thought and idea realm into the action and creating realm, you really haven't gotten anywhere. And only when you've transitioned do you get into the place where all the other magic happens. The second secret of life that art teaches us is how to sustain engagement. This is a term that I learned in art therapy school. Our professor would constantly tell us to sustain engagement. And what that means is to stay in relationship with something. We have this tendency to want to finish things up or to talk about it. So for example, if we were in a really deep processing, but we had to take a break for lunch, the tendency is to want to talk about what's happening. And when we do that, it's like we're trying to tie a bow on it and say that it's over. But that keeps us from engaging with it further. So instead, sustained engagement is when you don't assume that you know everything about something, and instead you continue to ask questions and dialogue with it. This is part of what I learned in art therapy school, was how to dialogue with my image and stay engaged with it, just like a relationship where we want to continue to evolve and communicate with each other and allow more and more to unfold. In a culture of fast answers and short attention spans, art teaches us the value of staying engaged. You wouldn't get very far if you started a painting and then stopped after 30 minutes. Paintings become beautiful because of your sustained engagement with them over time, coming back over and over and developing it and evolving it. The same thing is true with your most important relationships in your life. They're important because you've stayed together through the ups and through the downs. It's a common tendency for people when they hit a friction or a struggle point to just give up, walk away, say, oh, that's not for me, or I don't like that person. But staying engaged allows you to develop the grit and the wherewithal to be able to get to the other side. And so much more depth and profound experiences are possible when we practice sustained engagement. And that is really the only way to see where something is leading us or where we're being called to in our life. And that takes us to the third truth that art reveals to us about life: how to follow what wants to happen. This is the idea and really the felt sense that you are being guided somewhere, that there are certain things, almost a flow of life, that you are listening to and being called to follow. And that can only happen when you sustain engagement and listen and respond to the call. Art is not a one-way street. There is an interaction between you and the thing that you're creating. And it teaches you this act of listening and following what wants to happen. Art and life are really an act of co-creation. And co-creation looks like a give and a take. There's a listening and a responding. There's action and there's receptive. Both of these are important in life and in art. This is actually one of the secrets to manifesting, is the ability to oscillate between listening to and tapping into the rhythm and the flow of what wants to happen, while also taking action so that you're not just passively waiting for things to come to you in life, but instead are taking the steps that are needed for you to get to the new place, but then going back into the receptive mode so that you are listening and attuning and following. Art gives you the ability to practice this receiving and listening and following and action-taking balance that is one of the keys to manifesting what you desire in your life as well. Number 4, maybe most importantly, art teaches us how to release. In my life, I have made thousands of pieces of art in so many different forms, and I do not have most of those in my possession right now because most of them have been released. Sometimes I give them away to people, and sometimes I throw them away. And that is part of the nature of life. We can't hold on to everything. And even if you try, holding on doesn't actually bring fulfillment or satisfaction. So art actually gives us this ability to practice letting go and releasing, and not trying to be the controller of what is going to happen to the things that we create, which is also true for life. We are not actually the controller of what happens. We are the responder. We have a role to play where we are taking action, but also receiving, and letting go is part of that so that we are clearing space for new things to come into our life. Art has taught me how to be so good at letting go of things, and it's not because I don't love them. Pieces of art that you make often feel like they are an extension of who you are. So learning to let go of those things is an ultimate form of release that helps you, honestly, on your spiritual journey, where we don't get to hold on to anything that we have, not this body, not this mind. So it's really amazing to me how much art can help us on our personal and spiritual growth when you really sink into the deeper way that art is teaching you universal truths about yourself and about life. And if you enjoy my spiritual approach to art making and personal growth, you might also enjoy my free guide to art as a soul language. So if you are interested in that, I'll make sure to put a link to it below this, and I would love to connect with you further in that way. Thanks so much for spending time with me on this video. And if you found it helpful, it would be great if you could give it a like or a comment or subscribe to our channel. That helps the content reach more and more people.